were there any like life lessons that you learned from not only through Taekwondo but just kind of the overall kind of like your career and like from all of the travels that you've done to going to different places, kind of
I feel like, well, one thing I didn't mention before, which is also an important event, because I mentioned a lot of people, but right before I qualified for the Olympics, my dad passed away. He died of cancer, so that was like a week and a half before qualification. And it also came as a time when I actually missed the first qualification due to an injury. So I was training for the Olympic qualifiers, and then in Spain we're doing mountain bike riding. We're just like riding from town to town through the north of Spain. And on the last day, coming downhill, I was going really, really fast, and for some reason, because the brakes are on the different side to England than they are in Spain, I actually accidentally pressed the front brake instead of the rear brake. So I actually went over, smashed my helmet in half. I still have the helmet left. There's only half left. And then I actually my shoulder went through a couple of rocks. So basically, and we was right like maybe 5 feet from a valley. So I was kind of lucky, but my whole clavicle was smashed, my scaphoid was smashed. So that was like a couple of weeks before qualifiers. So in the end, they had to send someone else in my place. So that was tragic already. That was like so disappointing. And also at the same time, my dad had been diagnosed with cancer a few months before. You know, and then right before I was going, but the person who went my place didn't qualify, so we still had to try and qualify the space for the country. And so right before I went, he passed away. And I was in training camp. And then I got the call, and it was time to go training because my mom left me a voicemail, and I was sharing with my teammate Paul Green. Paul Green right now, he's a national coach of the US. I think he's the technical director now. Him and Gareth Brown are my teammates. But so I was sharing a room with Paul Green, and I was just sat there on my bed. I wasn't saying anything. And then he kind of saw, and he left before me, and he ran to the training, and he spoke to my coach and said, "I think there's something wrong with Craig. I think it's his dad." Because everyone knew he was sick. And so when I came in, they just told me, "Go home, go home." So I just drove home, and then so I finished the camp really, really early. Because the team was still there, but I went home because I had to go and see my dad, and this, that, and the other, and so then after that, I was at home for a week or two, and then we had to organize a funeral. So in Jamaica, we have this thing called 9 nights, where you actually are not allowed to bury the body. You're not allowed to bury them for 9 nights. You have to spend 9 nights where everyone comes around your house, you have food, you have drink, and you just hang out, you just remember that person. So I had to bury him a day or two earlier just so that I could go to the competition. One or two of my aunties were upset with that because it goes against tradition and culture, but in the end, I knew my dad would want me to do that. So we did that, and I went to the qualifiers, and we qualified, and we weren't expected to. I felt like it was me and one of my friends, Sarah Bainbridge. We were kind of not expected to, where I feel like Sarah Stevenson and Paul Green, they were the ones that they had their money on. But in the end, we all qualified. And that was that was in 2004. And I don't think Great Britain repeated that until I think it might have been 2016. I think. I don't think they were able to repeat that. And that's with all the support, all the money, all the team, all the coaches, all the infrastructure and staff they have, because we had a special bond that time, and that's where I take a lot of my experience from, because even though we're starting from scratch now, it's like I know what it's like to have a very, very small team with limited resources and to qualify for the Olympic Games, So I know if you strip away all the bells and whistles, I know what it takes to take a team there. I know I've been part of a team that's been there, when you had like just 4 players, 2 coaches, a performance director, and a sports doctor. That's all we had. We had 4 staff and we had 4 players, and every single player qualified, maximum spaces. So, when it comes to building my program, I take a lot of that into account, and I use that, that experience.